articles.
Welcome to Raleigh for Friday Night Hoops as the Charleston Southern Buccaneers trek up from the Holy City to the City of Oaks, taking on NC State out of the ACC. 2-1, 2-0. Great night for college basketball here in Raleigh. Welcome to courtside at PNC Arena with one of the best shooters at NC State, Scott Wood. I'm Evan Budgerich. This Wolfpack team led by its defense through the first two games. What makes that unit special?
You know, I think a lot of it's the depth. They can go 11 deep. They really want to pressure, especially in the full court. But then in the half court, they do a good job of switching aggressive. NC
State has talented guards coming into this matchup too. And Jaden Taylor, what has he done the first two games to impress?
You know, I think if I did one word, it'd be aggressive. He's aggressive on the offensive end. He gets a lot of fouls drawn, getting to the rim. But he also has been shooting the ball really, really well. I think he's 5 of 7 on the year, but then he's also getting it done on the defensive end. He had the point guard matchup, pressures him, so he's doing a lot of things for the Wolfpack.
Jaden Taylor, 4th in the country in three-point shooting a weekend. Having a hot start for Coach Kevin Keats. 10th ever matchup, Charleston Southern and NC State. And let's get this party started. Claire Aubrey, our lead official with the tip. Trey Steins and Mark Schnurr here at PNC Arena. These teams haven't met since the COVID pandemic back in Reynolds Coliseum. So a new matchup here in PNC. And on the opening possession, Tajay Kelly with an early miss against DJ Burns. And that's a big matchup coming in.
That's a matchup they're going to try to exploit because especially Kelly, he initiates a lot of offense from the top. You see there, he kind of gets a little bit of a cross screen to get a post touch, but he'll do a lot of dribble handoffs and he'll pull DJ Burns away from the basket.
DJ Burns comes in 14 points a night and uber efficient. Nice time there to Diarra, who couldn't hit the three. And a defensive board here for Charleston Southern's DJ Patrick, the USF transfer. Worth noting in this lineup, Tajay Kelly, 15-point-a-game scorer. And R.J. Johnson, that's a tough guard for any team. Kelly now 1v1 with Burns. Gets to the bucket and couldn't hit it. That's an advantage the Barclay Radeball wants to exploit tonight, Burns defensively.
Yeah, they want him to take it off the bounce, but I think they want a little bit more movement, get the ball moving a little bit more side to side, get a paint touch, and share it around. And
that's too easy for Diarra on the putback.
And that's what they brought him in for. Is he's high energy, always giving the Wolfpack some extra possession, so you'll see that a lot tonight.
Mohamed Diarra, double-doubles in his first two outings. Really good on the boards. Kevin Keats has been pleased with his effort on the glass. This pressure defense of the Wolfpack has caused opponents trouble in the first two games. Just over 14 turnovers a night. As Reggie Duhart comes up short on the jumper.
They just got to do a little bit better job of getting in offensive scoring positions. They're starting so far out, and then they're not getting the ball moving side to side. You gotta start to share the ball. If you're going to think you're going to break them down with the bounce, it's going to be a long night.
Barclay Radeball said ball possession's important. We can't commit high turnover numbers. And Kevin's Keat Club, back to his UNC Wilmington days, they love to force mistakes. Top 3 in the ACC last year in forcing turnovers.
And you'll see this two-man game right here an awful lot. These are two of their better players, two of their better scorers. So you'll see it.
Here's
a lot of possessions.
Late in the clock, calling bank. I guess it is open on a Friday night.
I guess it is, but I've always said I'll take them however I can get them. So we'll take 1, 2, and 3.
Good news, Scott, in your career, 334 triples here at NC State. You're very familiar with hitting the three.
Well, I don't know how many I banked. I can promise you that.
Probably less than 300. We'll put it that way. TJ Burns operating the offense here for State. Fresh off a big performance, 84 points a week ago against Abilene Christian with 4 in double figures as Taylor's left all alone with the shot fake.
And that's good patience. You know, they got a couple possessions on one side and then they moved it. You know, a little bit of breakdown in the defense, but a good 15-footer, they're going to take that all night.
Charleston Southern comes in with 2 non-Division I wins and a loss to North Florida at home. First road contest for the Buccaneers tonight. As Kelly in attack mode, he lost it, and that's a turnover for CSU. Barclay Radeball, head coach for Charleston Southern, is now the all-time active coach in terms of total wins in the Big South. Picked 8th in the preseason, and this is a club that lost a Boston College transfer and Claudel Harris, a La Tech transfer, and a transfer to Cornell. So there's some big pieces gone for CSU.
Yeah, now obviously they lost a lot, but they brought some stuff in. And, you know, talking with him earlier, it was almost a breath of fresh air. You know, he didn't really want to set expectations. He just wanted to get 20 things from the game today that was positive so that they could go over it on film.
That will not be one of the 20. An easy layup there for DJ Burns, who tormented Charleston Southern when he was at Winthrop, both Big South squads.
And that's why I think Jaden Taylor really aggressive, especially with the ball. He's able to create, and he's also a good, willing passer.
Kelly on the attack. The point center going to work, and that's a nice job drawing the foul. And that's the matchup on the offensive end with Burns. But defensively, this is worth noting for NC State. In 5 games at Winthrop, he was dominant, nearly a double-double a night. And in that last outing 2 years ago, 22 and 11. He was hard to stop.
Yeah, the picture looks a little different than him now, but you know, he's had success there. I think it's going to be interesting with him and Kelly going back and forth. Very key for both of their teams. Obviously, him being on the perimeter, forcing DJ to come out a little bit, especially on the defensive end. But they're going to have their hands full all night with him down low.
This is Tajay Kelly, the junior out of Atlanta, who is preseason All Big South. If there is one player to watch tonight, Kelly could be it. He had 18 and 5 in a win over Johnson and Wales out of Charlotte. Little known fact, there are 6 Johnson and Wales academies, a culinary school.
I will also tell you, go back and watch the Northern Florida game, the first possession of the game, and you'll see a really good highlight of him.
Goes 1 and 1 on the free throw, so we're all even 4 apiece during the media timeout. Jaden Taylor, what a nice crossover, and draws the contact.
Savage did a really good job of pressuring, and I think coach is telling him here, he said, you got him where you want him, just try not to give him that straight line drive. And that's what Jaden Taylor does. You know, he gets to the free throw line. Last game against Abilene Christian, almost got there for double digits from the free throw line and knocked them all down. So again, off to a really great start tonight.
So Jaden Taylor heads to the free throw line. And we've noted his 3-point shooting. He's been excellent at the free throw line as well. Now 10 of 13 in the first 3 games. State as a club at 75% as DJ Burns takes the breather. And Ben Meadowbrooks, the Clemson transfer, comes in.
And this is one of the things, especially with this Kevin Keats team, there's so much depth there. So he's going to get guys in and out, and so they can pressure. This is exactly what they want to do. You know, talking with Coach Barclay, one of the things is how are we going to handle their pressure? It was the big thing that he was a little bit concerned about. When they get up into us, how are we going to handle it? And
last season, NC State led the ACC in forcing turnovers. That number was actually at 14 a game this year, so on a similar trajectory.
Yeah, and this is how they transition into offense. You know, they get stops, live ball turnovers, and then they're able to push it and get easy baskets out in transition.
Here's the Stanford transfer, Michael O'Connell, with his first touch against a zone defense. How does this change things for Charleston Southern?
You know, I like it because, you know, obviously DJ Burns isn't in the game, but it puts you back on your toes, especially if you're not expecting it.
We'll take the timeout. 1-point game early, Buccaneers and Wolfpack. We'll have more after this. Head coach Kevin Keats made NC State back in the NCAA tournament last year. And this is a club that was very good in fast break points, forcing turnovers, and that's fueled this impressive stretch, 15 of the last 17 at home.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we'll probably get to quite a bit is, you know, missing Jarkel Joyner and Jaquavion Smith. 2 really good all-ACC performers for them. So how are they going to kind of supplement, especially on the scoring end?
So far, a low-scoring first half. NC State 2 of 7 from the field. Casey Morsell out of the timeout. Can't hit the jumper.
That's a great baseline out of bounds play right there, especially to get Casey that good of a look.
Wow, the block from behind. Diarra with the rejection. Nice find to Diarra, and feed the big man running the lane. Great effort on both ends.
And that's what you love to see. Good baseline out of bounds play, but he gets back on defense with the block shot, and then he hustles. He doesn't just sit there and, you know, show his chest at how good he is, but he just gets back, able to get there and get fouled and get 2 free throws. So just the extra effort. And again, we're going to be a broken record, but that's what he brings to this team, and he brings that effort each and every night.
And those are the fast break type of points that Kevin Keats wants from this offense, emphasizing speeding things up this year.
Yeah, and it's not a live ball turnover, which is ultimately what they want to get, but able to block a shot, get the rebound, and really push it.
Diarra does go 1 of 2. And now DJ Horn will re-enter. The Raleigh native returns.
And then they get into that kind of 2-2-1 zone press here, which is something you're going to see all night. And again, we're going to have to see them handle the pressure before they kind of let off of it a little bit.
Charleston Southern 15 turnovers in a loss to North Florida last week, their lone Division I game. Able to handle the press there. Does eat up about 10 seconds of the shot clock. Here's Sumler. Oh, it kicks to Hutchinson, and a nice break for the Buccaneers. Good bucket.
Yeah, very friendly break, but again, you just see the active hands, being able to tip passes when they're in the half court.
O'Connell gets to his spot and able to hit that. What a nice debut these first 2 weeks for the Stanford transfer.
Yeah, I believe he led the team in scoring the first week. But again, he's just one of those guys that does everything right. And again, you just see the pressure getting to him. You just got to kind of take your time, get across half court, and get into your set.
And we asked the strength coach, Pat Murphy, who would babysit your children on a road trip? And he said O'Connell be that guy.
You know, I would go with that. He looks like, very trustworthy. I've got 2 kids at home, so if he is looking for some job opportunities, I might have to take advantage of that.
Michael pursuing his master's, and he was a lacrosse commit out of high school, then stayed with basketball down the stretch. Good decision for the folks here in Raleigh as we enter week 2 of the basketball season. Horn on the lob to Burns, and that's just too easy for DJ.
And that's just great patience by DJ Horn. You know, they run a little bit of an Iverson cut into a side pick and roll action. He just kind of holds it and waits for the drop to come, and then passes it to DJ. To
the third DJ, Khaled, is a 10-second violations rung off.
Well, I told him to be patient, but maybe not that patient. And here you just see him holding it, probing. They don't get a tag on the backside, and they're just both patient.
Take a quick media timeout here early with NC State up 4. Back here inside PNC Arena, DJ Burns has entered into an elite conversation here at NC State. Based off his performance against Abilene Christian, he has now made enough shots to qualify for the all-time field goal percentage records. Now, he has a season to go, of course, but at 56%, he's entering some elite territory here at NC State.
Yeah, I mean, he's on a great list to be on. I think to move up to second, we decided, he needs to go 7 for 7 tonight. But with him and DJ Horn in the pick and roll and how patient they both were, that might be here quicker than we think.
204 career field goals for Burns, who's 2 for 2 tonight.
And here we go. This is a little bit of 1-3-1. This is something that they do to just throw them off balance. But again, just great patience, good shot.
And Parker on the second chance couldn't hit. Horn tries to save it and falls into the Buccaneer bench.
And that's the one. I think if they can get those open shots, they're eventually going to knock those down. But again, I think that's what CSU wants. They want them to take threes.
And DJ Burns' passing is a growing ability for him.
Elite passer. And I think that's the one thing, I keep calling it the point center. But he's willing to pass. That's why it makes it a lot more difficult to guard him, because he will pass.
And then O'Connell throws his body on the line. He's called for the foul. Just the kickball, not the foul. One team foul for NC State. A Charleston Southern team that was picked 8th in the Big South, but they love this frontline talent as the 3 is off. Officials conferring here, and it'll stay with Charleston Southern. A Buccaneer team that's pushed the pace in years past, 75 points a game last year, have been explosive in the 2 wins, and Barkley Radeball wants to push the pace.
Yeah, it's 2 teams that want to play really fast, and NC State's going to try and press to get them to slow down. But I think if they can control that press, they can kind of push it and get some good looks.
That's the 5th Buccaneer turnover. NC State has yet to give up the rock so far.
I think he was open. He was just maybe a second late getting Kelly the ball down low.
Listen to this crowd. Burns goes to work. Deep 3, Horn unable to hit. The Wolfpack are 0-3 from downtown.
41% three-point shooter, but again, I think that's one where you can maybe get the ball going a little bit more side to side, and you can always get that at any time in the possession.
That's a contested 3 for Lewis Hutchinson. Nice shot for the Rhode Island transfer.
Yeah, and I don't think he shot well that great on the year, but he's a really good attacker. And again, anytime you see one going early, it's going to give him a lot of confidence, especially going forward.
Charleston Southern is a team only 38% from deep. Here's another 3 for NC State, well off. O'Connell on the glass, and he gets the foul late. Attacking the basket, that's going to be big for NC State tonight.
Yeah, and a lot of it results off of offensive rebounds. I think if NC State's going to continue to shoot this many threes, I think they're kind of bailing Charleston Southern out a little bit. I like them attacking, getting to the rim, very similar to what Jaden Taylor was doing early in the game, because it puts Charleston Southern on their heels a little bit.
As O'Connell hits his first. Kevin Keats will like the free throw shooting this year, 78% in the first 2+ games. It's early in the year, but you look at some of the best teams in the country. Villanova right now, 88% as a team through the first 4 games.
Anytime you can be flirting with that 80% number, especially as a team, is pretty solid, especially when you get in the crunch time and you need to close out games.
Here comes the ball pressure from the Wolfpack. 5 turnovers forced early. Durhart sneaks one through to Johnson. Now Johnson in attack mode. Nice jumper.
And that's what I think they can do, especially if they beat the initial press. That's when they can attack and play a little bit quicker and get downhill and get a good bucket.
R.J. Johnson, all-conference transfer to Holy Cross. Had to replace big shoes. Claudel Harris is a double-digit scorer at Pitt this year. Wow, nice job holding the pivot foot there. Layup for NC State.
Yeah, I'd have to see the replay. He may have dragged it a little bit, but again, if they're not going to call it, it works out for him. But again, the attack mode, that's what I want to see him do. Get the ball downhill, and then you can start to shoot threes.
That's the cha-cha slide with a couple of DJs on the court. Here's Parker on the lob ahead. Nice transition layup for Horn. And how about NC State creating off the turnover?
Yeah, those live ball turnovers. If you're going to turn it over, throw it out of bounds, so then they have to run a half-court set. They're much better when they can attack with a live ball turnover.
And this is NC State taking advantage in transition.
Dennis Parker, just active hands with his head up. DJ Horn running the floor with a finish. Great job by them.
NC State mourns the loss of one of its own. Mo Rivers, who was part of the '74 championship team, he passed last night in a moment of honor before the game here for NC State.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be at an event last night. Monty Tao, Phil Spence, David Thompson, Tommy Burleson were all there, and you could see the emotion on their face. And anytime you have a teammate that you suit up with, you go to war, you got to know, and arguably the most important time in your life when you're 17 to 22, you know, it's like a brother. So, you know, great player for that team, and he's going to be missed by many.
That national championship banner hangs in this arena, and his teammate David Thompson in attendance tonight. You see there part of the history here at NC State. And certainly a loss that will hang heavy here in the hearts of the Wolfpack faithful. Good moment of silence before the game, too. Wolfpack starting to pull ahead here, up 5 in this first half. Searching for a 3-0 start. Diarra tries a 3. Not typically in his bag, and an offensive board. That's 6 now for NC State.
Yeah, he's made a few on the year, but again, I just think get the ball inside first, and then let's start to work our way out.
Look at DJ fading away.
And again, that's just where you got to, you know, tap him on the back and say good shot, because that was really good defense, but just phenomenal touch by the big man.
DJ Burns always brings this crowd to life in Raleigh. And now a 10-second violation. That's 2 committed by Charleston Southern.
Yeah, I mean, they're being patient, but NC State's just doing a good job of being long, athletic, keeping the ball in front of them. And here you just see that touch. He's able to use his body, create space, fade away, and nothing but nylon.
How does he contort the ball into a shooting motion here?
Well, the hard part is he's actually spinning the wrong way. The normal way would be for him to go the other way. He actually spins back into the defender, bumps him off a little bit, and creates space. So, I mean, it just shows the touch and the footwork that he has.
Burns, who grew up ambidextrous, loves going left. But he's got that right hand, too. How about this step back for Taylor? Unable to hit. This is a crucial 2-minute stretch here for Charleston Southern. 2-minute scoring drought. And Johnson draws the foul on Horn.
I think that'll help him as well, especially any time they can get the stop, get the rebound. It doesn't allow NC State to get in the press. So that's one way to kind of avoid those turnovers, is to get good defensive possessions and finish with the rebound.
In this scoring stretch, 3 turnovers in the 2 minutes, and then no points if you're Barclay Radebaugh. Just past Eddie Biedenbach for the longest tenured Big South coach, coming on 20 years here in the spring. He calls basketball a lifelong mission, motivating these young men. As Johnson's pass is tipped. Taylor wants to run here, and Diarra couldn't squeeze it. Kevin Keats wants a foul. He's not going to get it in a turnover.
Yeah, it looked like they may have had his hand around his waist there in the transition. But we're just seeing this activity from this NC State roster. All of them active hands when they pick up the dribble, showing hands and making the pass tough.
And both coaches are begging for holds right now. It's like Jim Harbaugh on the Michigan sideline begging for a foul.
Well, I'm begging for one, too, even when I didn't get touched. So I expect that to be all night.
This is a 6-0 NC State run since the media. New sub in, Caleb Clinton turns it over. That is 10 turnovers for Charleston Southern. Taylor lost it on the way up.
But see, that's what you got to do. Even if you turn it over, sprint back, create something tough. They get their own turnover, able to push it, and this is the shot that they'll take all night.
Nice corner three for DJ Patrick. There's more than one DJ in the building tonight.
Yeah, and it's easy to always put your head down, especially after those turnovers. That's the one thing I love to see, especially, you know, they've turned the ball over quite a bit tonight, but again, just sprint back, try to force a tough shot.
We have a timeout here. Diarra has to walk over to the bench. He'll need some attention from the training staff as Middlebrooks comes in. That'll be something to watch here in this first half.
Yeah, and I know the nice part, especially with this depth that NC State has, you know, they've had, you know, some few nicky-knack injuries, especially in the past, so they are a little bit deeper. But again, somebody of that caliber you really don't want to see go down.
You think back to the Manny Bates injury of 2 years ago. That was in game 1. It was crucial for NC State. Certainly not hoping that tonight for Diarra, but keep tabs on it as Morcell goes into his bag and comes up short.
And that's exactly, they go back to that 1-3-1, and that's what they want them to do. They want you to play that isolation basketball and take tough contested pull-ups.
The Buccaneers can afford more turnovers. 10 giveaways in this first half as backup point guard Alon Sumler comes in. He's out of Northern Kentucky. Feeds Hutchinson, who's got 2 triples. What a nice start from downtown.
Yeah, anytime you see the first one go in, yeah, I mean, you get that confidence. So again, but it starts on the defensive end. They get a great defensive possession. There's no pressure, so they're able to get in the half court and get good possessions.
That's 4 threes for the Buccaneers tonight. Looking to play Jack Sparrow here in Raleigh as that ball goes out of bounds. There's certainly an intensity now to this road squad. Not afraid of the moment here in PNC.
Yeah, good job of just driving, getting it to the block. The defense helps in and able to knock down the shot. That's one of those that typically Kevin Keats is probably going to tell his team, look, we got to stay home, especially on the strong side corner. But they help a little bit, just enough to get the open look.
Charleston Southern last year, top 60 in the country and made 3-pointers. They're not afraid to let it fly. 1v1 for Tajay Kelly. He is fighting in for space on Middlebrooks. And a foul here. This might be on NC State. Okay, no, it is on Charleston Southern. The over the back on Hutchinson.
Good job by O'Connell there, especially with the bigger guy pushing in the back. But, you know, he's a lacrosse guy, so he's used to the physicality.
Those opening draws in men's lacrosse are epic. 1v1 in the middle of the turf, and it's a scrum.
Well, he'd be one of the ones, if we got into a scrum tonight, I'd be probably behind him.
So the grad transfer comes in. NC State struggling to shoot from deep tonight, 0 for 6. And as a team, just 31%. Burns finds O'Connell. Good fadeaway there. That's how you break a drought.
Yeah, and they did a good job getting their action. Iverson cut into a little bit of flow action, dribble handoff. And again, just good patience, and DJ setting a good screen up top.
That snaps a 2-minute scoring drought for NC State. Meanwhile, Charleston Southern's made 4 of the last 5.
A little bit of a baseline runner, trying to get him on a hot man.
Splins into traffic as the clock hits down to 5. Clinton in 1v1 ball. Calls his own number and can't hit. Tip in, no. Good second chance by Patrick. Burns is hooting and hollering for the basketball. Oh, what a wise man turning to his left.
Yeah,
and savvy vet heads to the line.
Anytime DJ can get 2 feet in the paint, it's probably a good decision to give him the ball.
NC State to the free throw line when we return here in Raleigh. A first half of 2 different performances from deep. Charleston Southern made 13 threes on Tuesday. They've made 4 or 5 tonight. Meanwhile, NC State struggling to hit from deep.
Yeah, and that's where I think the NC State just needs to be a little bit more aggressive attacking. Get the paint touch first. That's the one thing, especially Charleston Southern. They're getting that paint touch, then making the kick. So it makes it, especially for shooters, a lot easier once the ball comes in, back to out.
TJ Burns knocks in his first free throw of the season, by the way. 3 games in.
I would have never guessed that.
That's your trivia question at the end of the year. When was the first free throw? 7:33 in the East on a Friday night. By the way, the leaves are turning so much brown and green and yellow right now. It looks amazing on the drive in.
Beautiful in the Raleigh area right now.
Here's some pressure. NC State has lived on the turnover and a foul. Actually,
10-second call.
10-second. Good point there, Scott. That's the 11th turnover for Charleston Southern.
Yeah, and they just got, I love the patience, but at some point you've got to start to advance the ball. Whether you're getting it to the middle, whether you're getting it to the sideline to the middle, but you got to get that zone press shifting
and that's
a little
what Barclay Radabaugh is saying to his point guard right there.
Yeah, and they've had someone in the middle each time. And again, I like the idea of mixing in and out so that it gets that middle defender moving a little bit.
Worth noting, backup point guard Jaden Thompson not available tonight with a lower body injury. So it really sits in DJ Patrick's hands. Here's DJ Burns. Boy, that's my DJ going to work if you're here at NC State.
Just a smooth operator.
I know there's a DJ in the house literally spinning tunes between timeouts, but watching Burns go to work is magical at times.
Yeah, and I know that's one of the things he likes to do when he's not on the court is enjoy some music. So, you know, he's being a little DJ out here right now.
The fifth-year senior has a ton of experience against Charleston Southern back to his Winthrop days. And he's putting on an album tonight. Johnson heaves up a long three. O'Connell comes out with it. This is where State's been dangerous in transition. Morcell attacks for the layup.
Yeah, and I think that starts with Charleston Southern. You know, it's just starting their offense so far out. They take a deep three, semi-contested. NC State gets a rebound and pushes. That's their game. That's what they want. So, you know, Charleston Southern really got to get into better offensive position.
And yet, fast break points, only 2-point difference between these clubs. You would have thought coming in, NC State would live on the turnover and make things happen. Johnson with a nice kick out. That three is off.
And that's a good pass. Again, almost all the way to the paint, and you want that corner three.
What a dime by Taylor. And Morcell knocks in the first three of the night for NC State.
And he hasn't shot it great so far in the season, but again, he's one of the shooters that they look for. Been good throughout the year, and he's always one of the first ones out here, especially during the pregame. So we expect him to knock down a lot of shots.
The savvy vet in game 120 of his career hits the first three. That makes it an 11-0 run for NC State. And how important is this possession now if you're CSU? There's the steal. Boy, running and gunning. Taylor to the rack. Make it 13-0 NC State.
We're literally going to be a broken record. It's just coming down to you got to take care of the ball.
Patrick, the South Florida transfer, 1v1 with Morcell. There's a lot of isolation ball if you're Barclay Radabaugh right now. Johnson to the double. The Buccaneers have not scored in almost 4 minutes. As that shot rattles out, Burns the rebound.
At some point, they got to get the ball movement. As when Days catches that on the top, not a 1 second or 2 second hold. It's got to be a catch, rip, and go into a DHO on the side.
Back to Burns. What does he have orchestrated here on the block? What a spin! DJ dunk!
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
That man needs a T-Swift tour. It's the Burns era.
Sweet feet.
And now a double team leads to a ball for Charleston Southern. But man, how about DJ Burns going to work?
The big fella. Just a phenomenal spin move. Uses the weight against him, spins off, and then just finishes at the rim.
I did not know DJ had that vertical in him, I'll be honest.
Look at that quick spin and just rises up. Hang time.
We noted his shooting percentage coming in. 5 of 6 tonight, so Burns is inching closer to second all-time in NC State history. This is a 15-0 Wolfpack run. Open three for Sumler. Nice offensive board. Johnson's turn. They need this. Unable to go. And a loose ball out to the Wolfpack. Feed the hot hand and Burns. Taylor instead is rejected. Good swap by Kelly.
That's a great block, and this is what they want to do. They want to play fast too.
Can't hit.
They want to play fast too.
Oh my goodness. The cherry-picking Taylor with the dunk. It'll count all the same tonight. 17-0 NC State run.
Yeah, just a Up and down, up and down. And again, this is the style of play both teams really want, but you know, you just got to eliminate those really, really easy baskets.
And this feels like G League basketball a bit tonight. A lot of movement. How do you get a bucket here if you're CSU?
Well, they got to get the ball in scoring position. They're all the way out at half court. So now when you do a pick and roll up here, all you got to do is go under like Parker's doing now. So you don't really create an advantage.
Unable to hit the three was Kelly. And now State with numbers. Here's DJ Burns. Bangs into bodies and knocks in his 14th point. And DJ's feeling himself right now.
As he should. If you're gonna score that efficiently and get a dunk, I don't know if I've seen him dunk. He's definitely feeling it right now. So he's going to be one that they're going to try to get the ball to.
This lead has ballooned to 20 in the last 5 minutes. Johnson in attack mode. Has to fade away. Nice bucket. Very CP3-esque on that shot.
Yeah, a tough bucket for sure. But again, I think that's one of the things that Coach Barclay is going to say, hey, we got to get the ball moving. Even though, you know, we get a tough bucket there, nobody else touched it. So get the ball moving and let's get some easier possessions. You're not going to come back in one possession.
Only 4 assists for Charleston Southern tonight. NC State's been dishing the rock well. Horn gets his home board and an assist to himself.
Yeah. And that'll drive a coach crazy. Shooter gets his own rebound.
And finally a whistle to break this back and forth play. Our final media timeout of the first half, and it's the DJ Burns show tonight.
Here it is. Spin move and then rise up above the rim with a big finish. The big fella. Quick spin, rise up.
The DJ Burns show tonight in Raleigh, and all of a sudden DJ enters some esteemed categories. You look now at the career field goal percentage record. Burns has a chance to pass DJ Funderburk tonight, and already he's 6 of 7 to start this game. What a career for DJ down low.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great list to be on. Anytime you guys they are that efficient, especially on the offensive end, you know, he's only going to probably creep up that list by the time his career's over.
Burns has 14 points in the blink of an eye for NC State, and nearly a turnover. That's a reach-in foul on DJ Horn.
Yeah, and I think coach is a little bit upset. He knows if you're putting the ball down 2-3 times, that trap is coming from behind. So he's got to be a little bit quicker and make a quicker decision.
That's been the bugaboo for Charleston Southern. 12 first-half turnovers. Remember, the season high for the Buccaneers was 15, so this has been all in a short sprint. First minutes for Marion Savage, the third point guard coming in, redshirt freshman out of Eastern Washington. Here's a steal. Look at that step through and a strip on the way up, but a foul was called on the Parker attack.
Yeah, and Dennis just being really good. Iverson cut off of that side, but he's getting on top of the cutter and just pushes it in transition. Again, he's just one of those guys that, you know, Kevin Keats has brought in that is an elite defender, wants to get out in transition, and we're just seeing it in routine today.
And more impressively, the lone freshman coming in, 4-star recruit out of Richmond.
Yeah, and I think the COVID year's the only reason probably he wasn't a state champion. So, you know, bringing in a guy that has won historically is a good thing for any team, that's for sure.
This crowd is responding to a couple of fans on the video board. They're having a blast tonight.
I think Mo Diarra is back in the game. Is this the first time we've seen him since he left?
That's a great point. I'll take your theory over mine. Here's the steal. Sumler ahead to Johnson. Charleston Southern needed that bucket. Breaks a 22-2 run.
Yeah, being able to push. I know they got to get that, you know, defensive rebound, but they're able to get a turnover and push it, which is, again, their game. They want to play fast, but they got to be in control.
Final minute of this first half. O'Connell looks to feed it into space, and that'll stay here. What have the Wolfpack done to balloon this lead in the first half?
You know, a lot of it's just getting out in transition, but it starts on the defensive end. They're getting defensive stops. They're getting turnovers. So the defensive end is really thrusting and getting them into the offense. So they're getting those easy looks out in transition.
Have forced 13 Charleston turnovers. O'Connell had to hurry up, throw a prayer, and Parker with the catch. Breaks the lane. No problem for Dennis Parker.
That's just pure athleticism.
And he's wearing different colored kicks.
Yeah, it throws you off a little bit.
He's like an inverted Power Ranger.
But anybody that can be that athletic, they can wear whatever footwear they want. So we're going to roll with it.
Four-star recruit showing you why. There's more pressure on the Buccaneers. And Kelly is fouled to reach in for Diarra. Good to see him back in the game.
Yeah, and I know Coach Keats doesn't like the call, but again, they're just doing such a good job of forcing that offense to start so far out. And I can't emphasize enough, anytime that you are starting, especially on the offensive end, that far, you're not in a scoring position. They really got to try to get that right at the three-point line.
This was a tight game early, 20-17, and it's been all NC State since. Have not said Tajay Kelly's name a ton tonight. Just 4 shots. He's 0 of 4. Now he bangs into the lane and floats one over Diarra.
Yeah, and they've ran that play a couple times, and I think that's a good one. The first time, or the second time they ran it, they actually got the switch, so the guard was on them. They were able to get an offensive rebound out of it, and that time they don't switch, but he's just good, physical, and finishes.
Final shot of the second half. First half. Parker can't hit the 3. But it is all NC State. Double-digit turnovers forced and a 19-point lead at the break.
Yeah, and they got to know you're not going to come out of here and make this up in one possession. So if they can find a way to take care of the ball a little bit better, they can kind of claw their way back into this game.
We'll take the timeout for halftime. It's the DJ Burns Show in the first 20 minutes. We'll be back in just a few here in PNC. Welcome back to PNC Arena. Taking a look actually at the women's basketball program here for NC State. Number 14 team in the country, watching their counterparts who are dominating Charleston Southern at halftime. We'll come back in a little bit, get you set for highlights and numbers and gear you up for the second half, just like the players who are taking a little break here at halftime here on ACC Network Extra.
There is a saying around here that the strength of the wolf is the pack. That the pack that hunts together is stronger than one wolf. And each wolf makes the pack stronger. In the hunt, the pack waits for the moment to strike. That moment is here.
NCAA cross-country championships.
All the best teams are here.
It's what every runner looks forward to, competing for your college in a cross-country meet.
Where all the days of training get put on display, and every wolf is running together, each in pursuit of one goal.
So here comes Caitlin Dewey.
It's known that if you want to run fast, you run alone. If you want to run far, run together.
1, 2, 3. Let's go!
But if you want to do both, run with the pack.
How about the best time of the year? Cross-country championship season begins this weekend. That's tomorrow at 10:20 a.m. Eastern. Two-time national champs, NC State. Hey, can they return and keep this thing rolling with Caitlin Dewey, one of the best runners in the country? And we'll dive into some highlights here at halftime. Speaking of speed, NC State in transitions, living on those points in transition.
Yeah, and I think all these highlights you're going to see start from a good defensive possession. Then they're able to push it, get out in transition, finish at the rim, make some threes. This is what they want to do. Great defensive possession and just attack.
NC State is living on Charleston mistakes, forcing 13 turnovers, and it's pretty easy when you're having plays like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of what opened up the game. You know, it was kind of sitting there flirting around, 10 points, but again, just a couple turnovers and them getting easy looks on the other end opens this thing up to 20.
DJ Burns, the star of that first half, 6 of 7. And Hutchinson had a couple of big threes for the Buccaneers, but that was really it in the first 20 minutes. It was a 3-point game until a 20-point swing broke this thing open. So we begin the second half. 10th all-time meeting between NC State and Charleston Southern. Yara goes to work on the first possession and flips it in. It's that kind of night for the post players of NC State.
Yeah, and I think honestly they did a really good job on the defensive end. They started in a 1-3-1 when the ball went to the corner. They matched up, but again, you just got to stay on the ground and make him take a tough one.
It's halfway there, living on a prayer for Mohamed Diarra, having himself. Him and DJ Burns, both great nights. 20 combined points. After the free throw, now with 20. And here comes that press for NC State. Forced 13 Charleston turnovers. The Buccaneers' season high last year was only 22 turnovers in a loss to Kennesaw State, a tournament team. Here's a giveaway and a block from behind. So Hutchinson's had enough of this turnover woes. He'll clean it up himself.
Yeah, just got to find patience. Again, they've got such active hands. You know, you got to fake a pass, make a pass. They're just kind of just a little bit too loose with the ball.
Has led to easy points in transition for NC State, 13 of them off the turnover. Horn is a jump ball. Good hands by R.J. Johnson.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things. R.J. Johnson and Kelly are, you know, they're kind of the go-getters for this team. You know, they really make a lot of things happen. So I think especially at the start of this half, they got to find a way to really spark this team.
R.J. Johnson has spent the offseason on a new diet plan, lost 10 pounds. It's in the best shape of his life. Also has got strong hands because he ripped that ball away. Now Johnson fades a bit short. This is a scrum. Since it was tipped into the backcourt, that's a fair play.
And I know they didn't score on that possession, but again, Patrick fakes a pass, makes it, swings it to the right side. They're able to throw the ball up the sideline to get Johnson going downhill to get a shot. That's exactly how they have to do it to be able to break that pressure.
And look at these numbers for Johnson coming in. He had 25 in the non-D1 win over Johnson and Wales, but consistent scoring for Barclay Radeball.
Yeah, RJ's a really good shooter. That's one of the things that Coach Barclay was talking about, is he really knows how to get to his mid-range, shoot the three. And again, he's got to get going to bring him back. And here's Kelly, one of the guys that we talked about, has got to get it going.
The Atlanta, Georgia product with a nice drive to the basket. He was one of two players to appear in every game. It was an injured Charleston Southern team last year that finished second to last in the Big South.
And he's kind of the jack of all trades for him. You know, he does a little bit of scoring, rebounds the ball at a very high level, and also is a really good passer. So again, he just is kind of that engine.
Here goes DJ. A bit ambitious on that shot.
And that's what they got to do. Get the stop, get the rebound, and then, you know, be selective when you can push, and if not, set up the offense.
Johnson finds Kelly. Burns able to collapse late, and a block. Taylor to Morcell. Nice play in transition from NC State.
Yeah, great activity on the defensive end, and again, doing what they do best. Getting out and running, being unselfish with the basketball, making a pass, finishing at the rim.
Down low and a nice layup for DJ Patrick. What are these track meet games like as a player?
You know, they're a lot of fun to be in. I think it gets a little bit frustrating at times for coaches, especially when it results in turnovers. But at the same time, you get up and down, you get a good flow. So that's one of the things I always love, the fast pace, because it gives you a much better flow, especially with how many media timeouts come in a game.
NC State dominant since the 10-minute mark of the first half as Taylor floats.
And that was a good defensive possession by them. They kind of forced them out a little bit, pushed the clock a little bit to the late side, and then they forced it contested too.
Here's Johnson, second team All Big South. He's got some handles. Kelly rides that Kinesio tape, fades away, and can't hit.
But even early on, I just feel like those are a little bit better possessions. Kelly gets a touch at the top and is much more active and quick on going to that dribble handoff with Johnson.
Morcell gets to the free throw line. And Diarra able to save it. Active hands here from Charleston Southern. Better pass to Morcell, who missed it.
And I was about to say, that's a backbreaker for, you know, you defend for all that time, give up an offensive rebound, and then give up a cut.
And an and one for Kelly.
But again, that's one of those that, you know, Casey's going to go back and look on the game film and be like, man, it's just a 4-point swing. Again, miss the layup, push it, attack, draw the foul with the finish.
That play had everything in it. And then the and one for CSU.
But this is... This is the type of game that they're going to have to do. You know, they're going to have to make NC State take some tough ones. They got to finish with a rebound, and then that's what they can do best. They like to play fast. They like to be quick, push it in transition.
Barclay Radeball noted our pace is our greatest strength. He has high caliber players, both his people and his athletes. He wants to use that speed. And it's hard to get in a track meet when you're quote unquote outmanned against a power opponent in the ACC.
Yeah, and they've got really good depth. They played 10 people in the first half, so they get in and out as well. So again, whenever you want to play fast, you got to have some bodies, and they've thrown a lot of bodies out there today.
And sometimes you're so fast you make fast people look not so fast. Name that movie.
I can't. Not on the spot.
I think
like
Adam
that.
Sandler. I'll get back to you on that one. There's Taylor on the attack. Good job with the shoulder fighting free.
One too many steps.
That'd be a great name for a movie.
One too many steps?
No, that's not the name of the movie. With the former NC State three-point shooting legend Scott Wood, I'm Evan Budrovich. Kevin Keats in a thoughtful mood right now.
Yeah,
What on his mind?
I think he just wanted a little bit more intensity coming out of this half. You know, obviously being up, 20 coming out of it. I mean, they're still right at that number, but again, I just think Charleston Southern came out, obviously turnover on the first possession, but they're just playing a little bit harder than his NC State right now.
Longest Yard is that movie with Adam Sandler.
It's a great movie. The older one is good too.
The OG movie, of course.
Now, my cousin would be very disappointed I couldn't name that.
It's all good.
One of our favorite movies growing up.
Kelly on the floater. That's 4 quick points in the second half for Tajay Kelly.
And that's why you see he's a focal point. He can put the ball on the floor, mix it up a little bit.
Nice three for Morcell. Makes up for the missed layup.
And CSU just has to do a better job getting back in transition and matching up.
Given the pace of this game, if you're Charleston Southern, you probably need this to be a 90 to 85 type of night to come back, correct?
Yeah, you do, but you also got to understand that we got to limit our turnovers. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot, not to be able to get those extra possessions because of how many turnovers they've had, especially in the first half.
A foul here as DJ Patrick goes up. We'll take the timeout and talk about longest yard and some other stuff when we come back with NC State up by 18. The Holy City and the City of Oaks, little different home venues. The Buck Dome is the second smallest arena in all Division I basketball, 881. The smallest venue is actually USC Upstate, just across the state. PNC Arena, of course, with a brand new video board in the last 2 years. The square footage always blows my mind because the video board here in PNC Arena is essentially half the size of the entire Buck Dome.
Well, that's impressive, but I will say if you could get a lot of people into that gym, I bet you they can get it rocking.
The Buck Dome's won 2 conference championships in that building under Barclay Radebaugh. It is an electric atmosphere in North Charleston. Also home to our friend Shep from Southern Charm. DJ Patrick heads to the free throw line. I've never had a game with 4 different DJs on the roster between the 2 programs.
And an RJ.
And a DJ in the building, and an RJ. We have MJs and LJs mixed in. KJ Keats as well. A lot of initials in this one. Working it into DJ Burns, who has 14 points tonight. Faces the double. Nice pass out of traffic. And O'Connell earns the possession as that's last touched by Charleston Southern. That was tremendous hustle from O'Connell on the boards.
Yeah, and this is one of the things I like. They do such a good job of getting DJ the ball down low, but they keep moving all over. So you see right there, DJ Horn cutting. And again, those are looks that they're going to want all night. He's going to knock those down 70% of the time.
Which leads to second chance buckets. Morcell wanted the foul and he won't get it.
Got hit down a little bit low, but again, I think that's one of those, Coach Keats is going to tell him, look, we can get that anytime we want in the possession.
Kelly into some traffic. Big second half for
really good help side by DJ Horn right there.
Tajay was stripped and a foul that upsets Kevin Keats. Horn equally surprised.
Hate to say it, we're always surprised when there's a foul called on us.
I've never seen a player commit a foul and say, oh yes, that was on me, sir. Unless it's the hack-a-shack. So Burns will take a breather here, 5 minutes in. New guard in Gaddis Heath III out of Atlanta. Check it in for Charleston Southern. Nice kick out from Johnson. Better 3 on the wing from Sumler.
Yeah, and after about, roughly 5.5 minutes, this is how they're going to come back in the ball game. It's not going to happen in a 2-3 minute stretch, but if they can get some better offensive possessions and again take care of that ball, force NC State into some tough shots, they can creep back into this game.
Middlebrooks is checked in for NC State in the post. Battling with Noble Days. That's a tough look and a late foul on Days. That'll send Middlebrooks to the line.
Yeah, and good patience there. Again, I think NC State just makes it hard to dig, trap on that post because they do so much moving away from the ball. So that gives Ben Middlebrooks so much more time to kind of sit there, survey, see what he wants to do. Does he want to kick it? But it gives him time to get 2 feet into the paint and draw the foul.
Ben Middlebrooks, who had his coming out party against NC State last year. See the 10 points. That's a big addition with depth down low that the Wolfpack need. Yeah, and especially since, like last year they had Dusan Mahorcic that got hurt during the year. They kind of struggled with that depth. So they, added a couple bigs that, have given them some really good pieces, especially early on in the season. Ernest Ross making his way back. It's really been on Middlebrooks as that backup center. Good strip, and Parker knocks it out. And the learning moment is as soon as you cross that half line, it's the worst spot to pick up your dribble. That's been the challenge for a young CSU roster. 14 turnovers tonight, with starting point guard Claudell Harris transferring to Boston College. And Claudell came back in attendance to watch his team season opener. BC was playing at Citadel the next night, so the club drove across town. Neat moment. With the legend David Thompson in attendance here for NC State. The Wolfpack off on the 3. Yeah, they got the mismatch, but again, I think that's where he'd take days off the bounce, especially when you're a smaller, quicker guard. At least get him to turn his feet a couple times, see if you can't create not only for yourself, but for your teammates, because you got the big fella on you. They're going to have to come help from somewhere. Barclay Radeball always coaching, and he's noted, he's very candid in our conversation that they're not expecting to get a win in this game, but they want to learn things down the stretch for conference play. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things. They just want to take away some positive things. It's so early in the season. Coaches are still trying to figure out what they have. So they want to get some guys in there. They want to see different lineups. And ultimately, look, let's just do some positive things. Let's get better today. Heath slips. Middlebrooks gets attacked on the leg and a foul. Yeah, had the break up front, but just couldn't get it out of his hands. And in the revamped Big South Conference, these teams will not be in the AP top 10, but how about FAU from the group of 5 making a run? And we saw Arizona go into Duke last week, pick up a huge win for the Pac-12. Yeah, they've got some good things going. I enjoyed watching the Arizona game. I unfortunately was on the broadcast, so I couldn't watch the whole thing, but was able to go back in there and watch it. They've got a really good roster, but I also know Duke's going to be a really good basketball team, so I don't have to worry about them. And you have Zach Edey, the double-double machine for Purdue. Horn with a deep 2. That's one of the least favored shots in college basketball, but it works. Yeah, and that's what he does, man. He's just an elite shooter. He shoots a career 41% from the field. So, again, he's trying to kind of find his way. New team, only the second game. So that's what he brings to this team. Nice block by Taylor and a foul on the way up. That'll send R.J. Johnson to the free throw line. Might have been a nice block because he hit the arm. One leads to the other. Good point. And as a former shooter, I will take that all day. Big pet peeve anytime you get hit on the arm and you miss one short and it doesn't get called. Especially when you're at someone else's gym and all of a sudden you get air ball. Charleston Southern 4 of 6 from the free throw line tonight, making a convoy of subs. Sort of fitting out of the Holy City. You ever been to that naval base down in Charleston? I have. I was actually lucky enough my sophomore year. We played in that little Charleston Classic down at the College of Charleston, and we were able to do a tour on the battleship. That's where we had our dinner. Cool little city. So I've enjoyed my time. Across the river as well? Yeah. Really neat town. Yeah. Beautiful down there. Right in the heart of Charleston. Charleston Southern University out of the Big South, voted 8th in the Big South preseason. It was actually a wedding possible destination for me and my wife. Would have been a good choice as Parker hits the jumper. Unfortunately, we got married in July, so humidity and hair just wasn't a good combination. And we have a good head of hair in this booth, I will say. With Scott Wood, I'm Evan Budrovich. 36 points in the paint for the Wolfpack. I think that's where their bread and butter is going to be. I don't think they're, create off the bounce 3 team, but I think they're a paint touch, post touch, kick it out 3-point team. That's where I think they excel. There's a good steal and a foul on the open court. We'll take the media timeout. NC State, Charleston Southern trading buckets early. And a look at the young freshman for the Wolfpack as we head to a timeout. Busy stretch coming up for NC State. This schedule sure amps up quickly. First, the ACC-SEC Challenge, and then a trip out to Las Vegas, ASU, BYU, some opponents beyond that. And then right into the conference. This is a critical 5-game stretch.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I really want to see out of the Wolfpack. You know, we know they have depth. We know they're going to be a hard scout. We know they got 5 guys that can, you know, average double figures. But once they kind of get into some tight basketball games, who's going to close it out for them?
Nice hustle by R.J. Johnson there. And that'll bring Barclay Redebaugh a nice pat on the back for his star point guard. Despite this large deficit, CSU's not giving up just yet.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that, you know, Coach talked about, especially when we talked with him earlier. You know, he just wants effort out of his guys. He doesn't really care about this end result. Obviously, they want to stay competitive. But even when you make mistakes, just play hard, get back, and get better.
And we talked hair earlier. Barclay had a hair appointment this week with his barber, Maria. And the joke was, how much pomade and spray could I put in my hair to make it look good? Barclay's always the class of the Big South with a great head of hair.
Well, he's going to lose a little bit if they keep turning the ball over. 16 turnovers might thin that hair out a little bit quickly.
I mean, for a man who's been coaching college basketball for over 20 years, that's a great head of hair.
Yeah, I just think it's going to cost you a lot of money over time for product. That's for sure.
He's the all-time active head coach wins leader in the Big South, Barclay Redebaugh.
I could tell you underneath it, there's a lot of basketball knowledge in there.
Absolutely. 2-time Big South Coach of the Year. And he has mentored now 10 different Power 5 assistants or head coaches in his 20-year tenure.
And that's impressive. I told him, you know, that's what it's all about. He's got, you know, some staff members on his bench now that had played for him. So, you know, making sure he's taking care of his own for sure.
There's a foul on the way up. A reach in there for Reggie Durhart. Barclay Redebaugh's biggest assistant he raved about was Saw Nimley, the all-time assist leader at CSU, who's now his associate head coach. Was a part of those 2 championship teams. You see Saw sitting down there.
Yeah, and that's the hard part about it is he's at some point, you know, going to set him free and he's going to go off and be a great head coach somewhere. But I think that's just the awesome part about it is kind of mentoring somebody, helping them find their way in coaching, and then being able to see them find success at another program. 2
current assistants, Bob Ritchie and Mike Morrell, now head coaches that made the tournament last year. And he said Son Emily is the best assistant I've ever had in 20 years.
Yeah, and I got a feeling he's going to have a lot more really good ones.
And here are the Buccaneers hanging around in PNC Arena, hanging down 20. These teams are tied 15 apiece in the second half. Kelly. NC State making nothing easy on this possession until Johnson slips down the baseline.
And honestly, that may be their best offensive possession, sharing the basketball. I think everybody got a touch there. Again, a little bit of breakdown in the defense and able to get an easy lay-in.
Now can Charleston Southern get stops on this end of the court. NC State shooting it at 45%. Taylor finds Middlebrooks. Nice dime to the center.
Really good patience. You know, I call that the flow action where typically you have 2 guards. They go to a DHO, whether it's a backdoor, a pin down, or a fake handoff to kind of empty out that side.
What a steal and a foul earned by Jaden Taylor. This kid is quick with his hands.
Yeah, in the last 2 games, he's just pressured the ball so well. I think that's one of the things. He's just aggressive, whether it's on the defensive end, offensive end, and again, they get to that flow action. Empty side, pick and roll, drop down pass, Middlebrooks finishes.
Look at this pass, and then look at that steal. Taylor's an electric transfer coming in on Butler. Maybe the best conference in the country this year, the Big East.
Yep, and here's
the ACC.
Little bit of that 1-3-1 to get him to change pace.
And Taylor said, don't sleep on NC State with his first triple.
And I would argue that last game as well, Jaden Taylor, how hard and how well he played defensively really got him going offensively.
Taylor commits the foul here.
I think he's even doing it a little bit here. You know, he gets the assist on one end, knocks down a 3 on this end. Again, I just think there's something to making good basketball plays, gives you a good flow and gives you that good confidence.
That's a team best 6 triples for Taylor, who will exit with the foul. He has 3 now. That's the most for NC State. R.J. Johnson flipping a similarly good pass. And then Kelly carried it. That mind moved a little faster than the body.
Yeah, and as bad as it sounds, that is the turnover you want to take. You want NC State to have to take the ball out of bounds as opposed to trying to throw a pass there, live ball turnover, and then they can get out in transition.
DJ Burns checks back into the game.
And just watch the movement. NC State will start to move here and give DJ some room to work, and then he just kind of monitors the floor, see who's open, and has good patience.
That's a tough reach-in foul if you're Charleston Southern. Because Burns is like a gravitational force. He starts moving and everyone around him affects it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the best thing you can do is maybe dig. Just get him to pick up his dribble. You know, second guess what he's doing. But again, he's just so patient. He could literally be there and pound it 5 or 6 times.
The Zach Randolph comp always catches my eye with Burns.
Marion, Indiana, where I'm from, Zach Randolph. So when I first saw him, that was kind of one of my first comparisons. Zach always had such great touch. Was a magnet for the ball when it came to rebounding offensively and defensively. So that's always been a really good comparison, especially they're both lefties.
And Burns is so efficient. He has 16 points now on 6 of 8 shooting. And with the broadcaster's jinx coming, Burns has not missed a free throw all season.
Well, in his defense, it was the first game he's taken a free throw, and I would have never guessed it.
This is balloon the lead up to 24 for NC State, largest of the night. Creating space, nice bucket for Alon Sumler, the Northern Kentucky transfer. From the king of the Norse to the king of the Buccaneer.
Yeah, good little step back there. Creates the space. Knocks down the jump shot.
This game has slowed down a bit in tempo in the last 10 minutes. Horn. Nice find from Burns, and he hits the jumper.
And the crowd was a little disappointed DJ didn't shoot that one, but I hate to say it, if he wants minutes, I think that was a good business decision by him to get the ball moving.
Sloppy turnover there for Charleston Southern. It's their 19th giveaway of the night. And that could be the story of this whole game.
And I really do. I think if they could have found a way, you know, I know there's 8 minutes, 43 seconds left. If they could find a way to just take care of the ball, get some good half-court offensive possessions, I think it'll give them a chance. But again, NC State is just doing a good job of amping up that pressure when they need to create those turnovers.
First minute of the night for L.J. Thomas, the sophomore to Florida who checks in. And that's on the floor, not an and one. Although Horn's played in his case. There's Thomas, all academic team in the ACC. This is his second game of the season. And we have a timeout here for Charleston Southern. .24 out of his media timeout, and 2 of the big stories, turnovers and bench points for NC State.
Yeah, and this is the one thing, any young guy out there watching, you know, everybody wants to start. But can you come off the bench and still really produce? I think this is one of the things that really makes NC State dangerous. Now, they've got 8 players that have scored. They arguably have 8 players that could finish in double figures. So, again, it just makes them that much more dangerous.
18 bench points, 4 shy of a season best for Kevin Keats' club. And it's one thing to score against the bench in games 1, 2, and 3, but we showed you that 5-game stretch coming up against the SEC and the ACC. They'll need that bench scoring in November.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, you know, when you're coming off the bench, you really need some change of pace. Especially if, you know, DJ Burns is one of those first substitutions out. Who can be on the court and really help score? You know, that's going to be a, you know, Dennis Parker, great steal here. DJ Horn. Oh!
Horn wanted to bring PNC to its feet. He knew it too.
You know, sometimes you look at guys and you don't think, you know, they don't have that in them. But
we saw that with DJ Burns tonight.
He has it in him.
And then DJ Horn, now that's got plenty of leaping ability.
Well, that was off the back iron. Up front iron, you know, we might question, does he really have that leaping ability? But back iron, you know, he has the height.
The Raleigh native who played at Trinity Christian wanted to bring the hometown back to their feet. First minutes tonight for Ernest Ross, the junior. 50 career games for Ernest. He's battled back from injury, and good to see Ernest now on the floor.
NC State back into that 2-2-1 press.
Look at Horn causing traffic. Then a steal for Thomas. Now it's a fight for the basketball. And is that a 10-second violation? Or was it change of possession?
Well, I think they changed possession long enough to where they would get a new 10.
So it is a 10-second violation. That's the 4th committed by CSU tonight. And I can understand Barkley Radabaugh's frustration there.
Yeah, and I would argue that, obviously, without having to see the replay. You know, it looked like LJ did get possession and was about to make a pass to DJ Horn underneath the basket. But here we go.
Because right there,
maybe. I'd almost call it a possession, but I guess he never technically held control.
Look at Horn on the drive and the rejection. That's sent into the seats by Durhart. Well, DJ Horn's trying to do something special here as we take the media timeout. Let's see what he can accomplish after this 12-2 run by the Wolfpack. The first edition of the AP poll came out this week, and some national powers in the ACC, of course, Duke, Miami, UNC, and don't sleep on Clemson or Virginia. This could be a very deep ACC league this year.
Yeah, kind of when I was first looking at it, you know, I was on a podcast the other day, and they were asking, how many do you think can get in the tournament from the ACC? And it is really early on in the season, but, you know, I like that kind of 5 to 6 number. I think there's going to be some teams that surprise us. You know, I didn't say, you know, some things about Clemson, and I got called out for it, but they're going to be a really good team as well coming down the stretch.
That's a 3-0 start for Clemson as Horn hits the jumper.
In these last 2 minutes, DJ Horn has really, you know, put himself out there as being kind of that go-to offensive guy, which is something that they've kind of been looking for. Taylor did it against Abilene Christian, was really aggressive, and now I think DJ Horn is starting to do that on the offensive end.
Think about teams as well. Wake Forest coming off a great tournament year, and then Virginia Tech with excellent guard play. Those could be 2 clubs that could make a run come January, February.
Yep, it's going to be really interesting, especially once they kind of figure out, everybody's trying to figure out what they still got. But once we get into that ACC play, you know, they're going to beat each other up pretty good. So we'll see what each team has.
Nice bucket from Sumler on the other end. NC State coming off a tournament run, and that was a huge year for Kevin Keats. Getting back to the dance, losing Terquavion Smith and Jarkel Joyner, and bringing in players like DJ Horn to complement. Horn with a good step back. He's been dying for a big shot tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been in his little mode right here where he's in attack. So he keeps doing that. Again, this is one of the things that he brought to Arizona State. And again, I know there's a lot of guys that get opportunities on this NC State roster, but he's one of those that can kind of create and do a little bit more one-on-one and create his own shot.
There's a foul on Middlebrooks on the drive. Now the schedule gets real tough for NC State, coming up against Vanderbilt in that SEC ACC challenge, which that could say a lot for this conference come Selection Sunday.
Yeah, I know they're going to have we've mentioned that tough stretch, but again, I think that's one of the things NC State wants to see. They want to see themselves kind of get stuck in a tight game, see how different players react, and figure out, you know, what's the best lineup when it comes down to crunch time.
R.J. Johnson is disappointing this NC State student section tonight. Excellent free throw shooter, 80% last year. And Dwight is not a happy camper. Hits them both. This is ballooned to the largest lead for NC State, just a point under at 29. Ernest Ross with his first screen of the night, and it sets up Horn for the jumper.
That's just a good job of him moving without the ball, coming off those Iverson cuts. Ernest Ross doing a good job of positioning himself to set a really good screen. They didn't switch and they didn't really hedge. It was more of a drop defense, and that's one player on the court that I probably wouldn't sit in a drop, especially when he's heating up.
Kelly is wide open, and that's not even close. Now an outlet from Thomas. Kind of get this feeling out process from both teams. 6 minutes to play. Middlebrooks on the spin, into the cycle, banks it in. Nice move from the Clemson transfer.
Yeah, great footwork. him and DJ going against each other every day. You know, they're kind of feeding off each other, showing each other the footwork drills.
I would pay good money to watch a game of horse between those two.
Well, I've seen Ben in pregame knock down a couple shots. I've seen him knock down a half-court shot in pregame as well. So I hate to say it, I think my money might be on Ben in a horse game.
There's a foul here. Kelly nearly had the N1. And look at the footwork here, the big man.
Yep, just faking handoff, and again, getting deep, spin move, pivot, step through, finishing over the left shoulder.
DJ Horn will exit, but could be for the final time tonight. And a nice round of applause for the Arizona State transfer. That opens the door for Breon Pass out of Reedsville. His Rams deep into the high school state playoffs. And of course, Breon was a state champion in football and basketball.
Yeah, he brings both of them. That's one of the things a couple years ago I was asking Coach Keats about, and he just basically said, look, I think him playing football creates the toughness and makes him such a good defender, and it gives him so much good work ethic. So, you know, he's been a good addition to the team, and now getting an opportunity to be the floor general.
Middlebrooks left alone. That was the shooting touch. Couldn't hit it.
That's what I get for saying I saw him make, you know, 6 in a row during pregame.
Well, everyone makes them in practice. Kelly couldn't hit. Clinton missed the tip in. Now Thomas runs the break. Nice pass. And a better three for NC State. Dennis Parker with his first three of the night.
I think that puts 4 NC State players in double figures.
Your math is correct, my friend. Back-to-back games with multiple players 10 plus. As this tip drill will go to NC State. What have you noticed from the Wolfpack in terms of that press? Because it continues to cause Charleston Southern problems.
Well, I think a lot of it's just kind of the length that they have. You know, they've got a lot of good guard size. You know, DJ Horn, probably arguably their smaller ones, and then Casey Marcel, who's 6'3" and still has a massive wingspan, just putting them kind of up at the top, and then they mix it up with Parker at the top from time to time, Diarra at the top from time to time. So they just add length. So again, I just think you got to, you know, fake a pass, make a pass, and be sure.
A lot of bench minutes here, including LJ Thomas, who comes up short. Charleston Southern has hit a bucket from the field in 3 minutes. That looks to change here. And what a nice night for Hutchinson. 3 for 3 from deep.
Yeah, he's made a few shots tonight. You know, again, I think we're going to be that broken record, but if they could find a way to take care of the ball and get some of those half-court possessions like they've been getting, it just makes that game just a little bit easier.
Lewis Hutchinson's parents both have doctoral degrees from Rhode Island University. Smart family. Working it down to Middlebrooks. On the spin cycle. And that time he hits the floater. The evolution of post-player footwork. I've been impressed from NC State tonight.
Yeah, and I think they work on it just a little bit different. You know, back in the day, my dad's not going to want me to say this, but, you know, a traditional drop step, pump fake up and under. But again, I just think they do so much stuff, whether it's guard work, you know, handling the ball, mixing it up, step backs. It's just kind of the evolution of kind of that pick and pop big man.
Davis bangs off the three. And look at the pack pushing in transition. Final 3 minutes. And that's a blocking foul, sending us to the media. NC State on the verge of a 3-0 start. We'll wrap this game up when we return. Different night, different leading scorer for NC State. Tonight, it's DJ Horn, who has 18, and that shows the depth of this NC State offense.
Yeah, it just makes it really hard to guard. When you're sitting there looking at a scout and you see, all right, we've got 2 guys averaging 18 points a game. It's like, you know, let's try to take them away. But with a roster like this, and you just have no idea who it's going to be each and every night. If you take 2 away, there's still 3 guys that can get that double-figure mark.
This free throw would give NC State a new season high in points. And there you go. 85 and counting as we hit the 3-minute mark of the second half.
Two-three zone.
This is something different cooking in the kitchen of Kevin Keats. Charleston Southern breaks that zone really easily, but a miss there from Noble Days. Here's Middlebrooks, a point shy of 10. He'd be the 5th player to have 10 or more. Oh. And through the arm there. That's an offensive foul.
Just a little bit too much chicken wing.
Yeah, much to the chagrin there of Middlebrooks. Hard to argue that one in the 34-point game. And now NC State will make one more sub. Coach's son, KJ Keats, checks in. Boy, the 9 games as a freshman and gets his 3rd appearance this season.
And again, you just see the length of Parker Jr., you know, denying the corner, getting a hand on the ball. It's just one of those things that just makes NC State so tough, especially on the offensive end, is just that length.
Jordan Snell will check in for his 3rd appearance. The local product out of Cary, Panther Creek High School. Hutchinson looks for 4 for 4 and won't get it.
Coach Shawan Robinson out of Panther Creek at Clemson product.
Good basketball in the Cary area, especially Cary Apex. Thomas comes right into the game and attacks. That one's swatted. And then Breon Pass lost it.
LJ doing a good job attacking, getting to the rim, but better defense. Pin it off the glass. Clinton using the athleticism to create a possession.
And now Pass will exit, adding on to the Alex Nunnally conversation. Another Cary kid at a Cary Academy. And anytime these type of players score, the walk-ons and the reserves, it brings the crowd to life.
And it's one of the things I always said, look, these walk-ons put, if not more work than anybody else. They got to be there. They got to run the scout team. So anytime they can get these minutes, it's just great, especially for some of the scholarship players, to see them kind of get their opportunity to get a bucket.
Savage's turn, unable to hit the 3. And a fight for the board to Days, who throws it away. That'll result in a 22nd turnover for Charleston Southern, which that's the name of this game tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, you know, obviously, you know, coach isn't going to sit down and harp on too many negative things, but, you know, I'm sure he'll touch on it in the film session, just saying, hey, got to do a better job taking care of the ball. But again, they'll find the good things and the positives from tonight, really try and work on those things in the practice and move on for sure.
Charleston Southern gears up for back-to-back road games coming up. There's a shot, and Ernest Ross gets on the board.
And he's one of those guys that gave NC State some really good minutes last year. So it'll be interesting to see. I know they've really deep, but I'm sure, you know, there's going to be times throughout the year, you know, they need a little bit more defensive energy, a little bit more versatility, where he's going to give the Pack some more good minutes.
Final minute of this 10th ever meeting, Charleston Southern and NC State. Ross gives it a go. A bit off on the 3. Wolfpack will move to 10-0 all time against Charleston Southern. Patrick unable to hit the 3 late. And that'll stay here.
Well, you got any big plans for Thanksgiving?
You know, we're actually going down to Atlantic Beach.
Ooh,
hitting the sun, getting some waves.
That'll be nice. Is any family coming? Just you guys?
Me, the fiance, and the dog.
All right.
Remy the black lab.
I'm sure Remy will have a great time at the beach.
Remy loves the sand. I kid you not. Charleston Southern heads from the sand, and they'll hit the road the next 2 weeks. NC State will head to Vegas over the Thanksgiving break.
There are worse spots to spend Thanksgiving.
Patrick is blocked. And this should wrap up a dominant NC State performance tonight. Charleston Southern will head to Bethune-Cookman for Thanksgiving week, and NC State will move to 3-0, 4 in double figures. A wire-to-wire win for Kevin Keats at NC State.
Yeah, they've played really well their first 3 games. They're really doing a good job of creating havoc on the defensive end, creating some tough shots, finishing with the rebound and the turnovers, and then attacking and creating some good offense.
NC State becoming a tough environment to play in. 18 of the last 20 at home. Forced turnovers, balanced scoring, really a dominant performance here if you're NC State.
Yeah, playing great. Obviously, they're going to Las Vegas, so it'll be a good matchup for them. So they'll be able to kind of get a test in a road environment.
What a night here in Raleigh. Thank you for joining us on ACC Network Extra. For our talented crew, Josh Monk doing all the work behind the scenes. And for Scott Wood, I'm Evan Budrovich. Thank you for joining us here in Raleigh. NC State dominates on its home court, defeating Charleston Southern by 34.